Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight in our news.
The opposition leader not so sure about the Prime Minister's claim that the previous government knew about the past of Oban's non-executive chairman.
The Prime Minister is set to head immigration talks during his upcoming trip to Haiti.
Our news is brought to you by Alive, the nation's newest and best LTE network.
Good to be alive.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Jared Higgs. Topping news tonight, opposition leader Philip Davis is denying Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis's assertion that the Christie administration knew Oban's non-executive chairman, Peter Krieger, had been accused of violating federal securities laws in the United States and had a felony charge. Davis urged Minnis to leave the PLP out of the brewing controversy surrounding Oban and to instead table the heads of agreement signed this week. Kyle Joaquin reports.
Just yesterday, the Prime Minister made the claim that the previous government knew about the past of Oban's non-executive chairman. Well, today we caught up with the opposition leader who said the previous government had some concerns and knew a lot of things, but that wasn't one of them.
The time for campaigning and finger-pointing has ended. The time has come for him to govern.
Don't point the finger at the PLP for this one, says Davis, who is debunking assertions by the Prime Minister that the Christie administration was well aware of Krieger's legal drama. Krieger has acknowledged that his company back in 2008 was ordered to pay a fine of $110,000 after his company was found to have misappropriated investor funds between 1999 and 2000. It also turns out Krieger pled guilty to the first-degree felony of organized fraud in 2006, according to a document on the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission's website. Davis said while the previous government did give approval for the $5.5 billion oil refinery project in Grand Bahama, talks didn't advance far enough to discover Krieger's past.
What each of those ministries might recommend as preconditions would find itself as part of the terms of the heads of agreement and would be provided for in the heads of agreement. Right? And so we would not have gotten that far.
Despite Krieger's past, the opposition leader suggested he be given a chance, saying he shouldn't be condemned for something he was already punished for.
I'm of the view that once a person has been punished for their wrongdoing, they ought not to be punished more than once. So if he was punished for his wrongdoings, the question is whether or not he has so rehabilitated himself and so reordered his life that you can have confidence that he will not fall afoul again. Those would be matters that the government would be, as part of their due diligence, would be looking into.
Perhaps another misstep the government has made in this regard, according to Davis, is no environmental impact assessment was completed before a heads of agreement was signed, despite concerns by environmentalists on Grand Bahama.
I would have expected that some preliminary environmental assessment would have been made that will give you the comfort to move further, because there's no sense moving as far as you're moving without having some preliminary view.
Reporting for our news, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Thanks, Kyle. Amid growing questions over the $5.5 billion project, attorney Fred Smith QC is reportedly planning to launch a judicial review challenge to the project on the basis that the government was ignoring the legal planning and approval process and had failed to consult with residents of East Grand Bahama who may be affected. Attorney General Carl Bethel dismissed the threat today and questioned the grounds for Smith's action.
From what I know about Mr. Smith, he'd probably be taking the same tack that he took in the Save Guanakee case, and I think also may have been taken in connection with the Black Bears Key judicial review matter, arguing about consultation, etc. The difficulty is I'm not sure what locus standi, meaning what right to sue he would have. He'd have to find someone that has a sufficient interest to represent.
Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis has defended the decision to move forward with Oban Energies despite revelations that its chair, Peter Krieger, had a felony charge and was accused of violating federal securities laws in the United States. His defense comes 3 years after Minnis accused the Christie administration of going to bed with an individual who allegedly misappropriated client funds. At the time, Minnis questioned if that's the kind of person government should invite to Bahamian shores. Vonique Toot reports.
Before jumping off the cliff and asking questions, it's essential to review the heads of agreement. Then you come after me.
Speaking with reporters in the House of Assembly yesterday, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis admitted that when his government signed a heads of agreement with Oban Energies for a $5.5 billion project on Monday, government officials were aware that Oban's chair, Peter Krieger, settled claims for misappropriation of millions of dollars of investor funds and pled guilty to a felony charge back in 2006.
This is not new revelations, Travis. He has answered you, he's explained himself. These are matters that were dealt by former governments.
Minnis's defense of Krieger, however, was a complete about-face from comments he made on December 21st, 2015, when he accused the former government of going to bed with an individual who had allegedly misappropriated client funds.
How can a government issue a license to individual of unsavory character?
While contributing to debate on the Petroleum Bill and Sovereign Wealth Fund bill in Parliament back in 2015, Minnis, who was opposition leader at the time, claimed government-approved exploratory drilling licenses for a group of companies whose principal is noted to take clients' money, place it within his own account, and inform those clients that they have no more money.
It's also discovered that he was misappropriating clients' funds. Mr. Speaker, should we in the Bahamas go to bed with individuals like that? No, sir. Mr. Speaker, the only thing I can say, Mr. Speaker, I always remembered something my mother has said to me repeatedly. What she had said to me repeatedly. And she said, son, always remember, as you go through life, birds of a feather flock together.
However, more than 3 years later, Minnis is now forced to defend his government's decision to sign an agreement with a company whose chair is accused of using a company corporate credit card for more than $160,000 for personal items such as dental visits, taking his pets to the vet, designer clothing, jewelry, and high-end home entertainment systems. However, Minnis stuck to his guns yesterday, asserting his administration did its due diligence. It brings to mind words he uttered during that same debate back in December 2015.
And I said, do not be like your forefathers.
Reporting for our News, I'm Vonique Tude.
Thanks, Vonique. Residents living in shantytowns may only have until summer to find regulated forms of housing. Labour Minister Dion Fowkes updated reporters on the work the Shantytown Committee he heads today. Following months of research and visits to illegal communities throughout New Providence, a Shantytown committee headed by Labour Minister Dion Fowkes expects to see some results by this summer.
We are hopeful that this summer the Bahamian people will see some results here in New Providence, and later on see some results in Abaco, in North Andros, in Exuma, and in North Eleuthera.
Fowkes was reluctant to expound on what results the committee is expecting, though he says the ultimate goal is to humanely shift residents from these unregulated communities to regulated forms of housing. The Labour Minister says it's possible, pointing to a Haitian village that was torn down under the former administration.
What happened in Foxhill, the Cool Acres subdivision, as you know, I think it was under Mr. Ken Dossett when he was in charge. That area was actually demolished, and all of the residents moved into what you call the mainstream communities, whether it was apartments, apartment complex, or rented homes.
Fowkes insist that residents of these unregulated communities are mostly employed and choose to rent in shantytowns for financial reasons.
All of the persons in the shantytowns are working, and they have jobs. So it's not a question of having the wherewithal to rent areas to live in. It's just that it's cheaper to live in the shantytowns, which gives more leeway to use their monies for other things that's important to them. But there's a church in Cool Acres, or Foxhill Road, that all of the residents in the area that was demolished, they still come back to that church every Sunday to attend church there.
Fowkes says they've consulted with Haitian pastors and they plan to go into the communities and meet the residents there. While they say they've sought advice from other groups such as Rights Bahamas, committee members say their chief concern is the criminal element that lingers in the shadows. This morning, a joint operation of immigration and police officers executed search warrants in the area of the Haitian village at Joe Farrington Road. A number of persons were taken into custody in relation to the discovery of 2 firearms, ammunition, and a large quantity of suspected drugs.
There is a section of the shantytown that we are doing our due diligence with, and that is the criminal element. Not necessarily that live in the shantytown, but use the shantytowns for cover for their criminal activity. And that is something that the government is very concerned about, and we are moving to have that dealt with.
The Prime Minister will lead a delegation on an official visit to Haiti this weekend. Dr. Minnis says immigration talks will top their agenda. Jasmine Brown reports.
The Prime Minister is expected to begin his official visit on Saturday, where he will meet with high-ranking Haitian officials, including the President.
So I can discuss with President Moise matters that are very important to the Bahamas.
This trip comes nearly 5 months after the Prime Minister sent a hardline warning to illegal migrants living in the Bahamas. In the House of Assembly last October, he told all illegals living in the Bahamas that they must leave the country by December 31st, 2017, or face being aggressively pursued and then deported. However, not much has changed. Minnis' visit to Haiti also comes on the heels of a landmark ruling regarding Bahamas-born Ronnie Jean Charles, who was deported to Haiti before a judge ordered his return to the Bahamas. Minnis said immigration will be one of the most important matters up for discussion.
Discuss with Haiti becoming involved with our sea borders to do as much as they can to ensure that very minimal amount of individuals leave their shores for the Bahamas.
Still, it's not just immigration that the Bahamas delegation will be discussing, as Minnis says they are also going to discuss agriculture and industry.
We will discuss manufacturing, we will discuss agriculture. They have great agricultural products, fruits, vegetables, etc., that we would like to engage in importation directly. So we're preparing for that. Myself and team, including Brent Simonet.
Reporting for R News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Thanks, Jasmine. Still to come on R News, the Attorney General addresses renewed calls to appoint a substantive Chief Justice. The details after this break.